The official visit weekend number 2 is over, and we're going to need a bigger boat. We're talking about that coming up today on Locked On Golden Gophers.
Locked On Golden Gophers, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, folks. Welcome into the Locked On Golden Gophers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Kane Rob, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant, now here to talk Gophers with you. Now we're in the off season, so the scheduling is a little bit different. I had a couple questions on YouTube about it. So during the rest of this June month and July, we're going to be doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday episodes. And then once we hit August, as we approach training camp and the regular season, we're back at it Monday through Friday, each and every day of the week. So be sure to tune in. And if there's anything absolutely critically groundbreaking, then I will jump on whatever day it is to make sure we get the latest and greatest info when it comes to Golden Gophers. So be sure to subscribe on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, or be sure to follow wherever you get podcasts. Find us at Locked On Golden Gophers, so you are staying up and in the know when it comes to Gophers sports. Now, today we are talking about official visit number 2 with the latest recruits, as well as the optimism and why it's okay to have it, and then future prospects that we're still looking at when it comes to the 2023 class. So let's jump right in, folks. We're talking official visit number 2. It came and it went this past weekend, but it was successful. It was successful because we have multiple more commits joining the Golden Gophers football program, and not only 2023, but we also secured our first 2024 commit as well. That's right, folks. 2 years. We got commits from 2 different years, 2 different recruiting classes. So you love to see it. We're getting the boat rolling, folks, but we're going to need another boat. I said it at the beginning of the show in the opening. We need a bigger boat because we got the recruits coming in left and right, and that is a great problem to have. And so let's jump in. Who did we get this past weekend? Well, first, we got to kick it off with Marjavius Moss from Pennsylvania. He's a 4-star running back, and right now he's bumped in the past week or so. He's been apparently bumped down to a 3-star running back, but he has been a 4-star for many months preceding. And as soon as he touches back on that field, on the grass, on the turf, wherever he is doing that running, he's going to be right back up to a 4-star. So don't dwell on the semantics, folks. Semantics. So running back, 4-star talent. He had offers from Iowa, Texas A&M, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Penn State, and he chose the Gophers. He's ready to row. This past season, he had 1,109 yards, 15 touchdowns on 6.6 yards per carry. He's got efficiency. He's got home run speed. He needs to get a little bigger when it comes to making the jump to the D1 level, but he's got all of senior year. He's got the spring with the Gophers program. He's got the summer with the Gophers strength and conditioning program. So let's not dwell on that too much. I believe he's about 180 pounds right now. That is A-okay. He will put weight on in those strength and conditioning programs once he touches base on campus in Dinkytown. So don't dwell on that too much. The talent is there. And you can see that from the other teams that have offered him and recruited him. You can see that from his production on the field. And you can just see that in the attitude and the swagger that he carries about himself. Now, the reason he stated that he committed to the Gophers was because we've showed him the most acknowledgement and hospitality, and that just helped lead him to committing and feeling like he was a part of a family and home away from home. Now, his parents and him both thought it was a great fit, and he wants Gopher Nation to know that he is ready to do business. So now you've got an absolutely stacked backfield, in my opinion, looking for many years to come. You've got Trey Potts. You've got Zach Evans, you've got Darius Taylor, and you've got Marjavius Moss. Those guys all in there. Plus you've got Bryce Williams, who still has 2 years of eligibility. So after this following season, he'll have one more year of eligibility as well. That running back room is absolutely loaded. It's stock full of talent. Those are guys that can learn from each other, grind with each other, and put the work in. And that is the absolute best kind of running back room to have, is guys that are pushing each other to strive and do their best. So we've seen the production across the board in our running back room, and we added another rock star talent. That makes two of them in the class of 2023 with Darius Taylor and Marquise Williams. Now, jumping to our next commit, we've got our first official wide receiver commit in Danielle Hayes. He's from Florida. He's a 3-star wide receiver. It was between us and Washington State as his only Power 5 offers at the moment. But you'd think that you love to hear from him personally after being asked about his commitment and why he decided to make the commitment. He committed on the spot when given the offer because it felt like home. Like, think about that for a moment, folks. He came, he visited, he met with PJ Fleck, he got the offer and committed on the spot. Him and his family all felt comfortable. Committed on the spot because this felt like home, and he knew this was a great spot to spend his next 4 or so years in college, growing and being a part of this atmosphere. On top of that, he's got the swagger, he's got the chip on his shoulder, and he's absolutely has championship aspirations. He said he's bringing one here, folks. He said it, and I'm here for it. I am all here for it. So Danielle Hayes, excited for you to be here. In his junior year, he had 30 receptions for 722 yards and 10 touchdowns, earned all-state recognition, made the state title game in Florida, and I absolutely love his confidence, love the swagger that he brings, and I'm excited for him to be a part of this receiver room, which we've lost a ton of receivers to transfer. Now, I think it's about 8 receivers that transferred out. On top of, you've got Chris Ottman-Bell with his last year of eligibility. So Danielle Hayes walks into a room where he could at least have the opportunity to see targets early on in his freshman year. You've got other guys in the room still. You've got Ike White, you've got Daniel Jackson, you've got Michael Brown-Stevens, you've got Dalen Wright. If he is still around next year, if he pops off this next year, he could take the jump as well. So there will be opportunity. There will be opportunity, and I'm excited for the kid. I'm excited for him to be here, get on campus, but he's going to pop off in his senior year first before he does that. Now let's jump over to our next commit, which is another wide receiver. That's right, folks. We got two of them, two receivers that made the commit. Tyler Brown, I believe he's a little underrated, especially looking at what he's done. Last year in his junior year, he had 71 receptions for 1,034 yards and 15 touchdowns as a junior. 1,034 yards and 15 touchdowns, and he also ran a 10.87 in the 100-meter dash in track. So he can move, folks. He's got jets. He's quick. He can get open, clearly, 1,000 yards for 15 touchdowns. And yet we were his first Power 5 offer. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. I'm sure you don't get it. Let's make it make sense. But you know what? We are okay with it because he's headed to the University of Minnesota. He's headed to Dinkytown. He sounds excited. He sounds thrilled. Now, Ryan Burns says that Clemson and maybe even South Carolina seem to be familiar and sniffing around, but hopefully the commit is legit. Hopefully he is ready to come up here to Minnesota and show that all these other schools made the mistake of not offering him earlier. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for Danielle Hayes, and I'm excited for Marquise Williams. Tons of offensive weapons, skill positions, talent coming in with this weekend's wave of commits. But that's not it, folks. We also have the Carrier brothers from Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. They both committed. Ethan Carrier is currently not rated, but he is a talent. He's a dog. He's a grinder, and he committed. He's in the class of 2023. He's played running back and defensive back. And then his brother, Mason Carrier, is a 3-star commit from the class of 2024. So we have our first official 2024 commit in Mason Carrier. Now, both of them have played running back. As I said, Ethan has had some time at defensive back, and Mason has had time at linebacker, which is what I believe the Gophers recruited him to play, is linebacker. Now, Mason said the Minnesota offer has been a dream since he could walk. He's super stoked. His family is super stoked. They're all super stoked to be here with the Gophers, the hometown squad. And I think that they're both going to make good progress here with the Gophers. I think, honestly, Ethan seems like the type of player that will grind. He will work. He will put his all into his craft. And he could be one of those guys that you see those amazing videos on social media where the walk-on earns a scholarship and everybody, I mean, it brings a tear to my eye. I'm not going to lie. That stuff is touching. And to know that that hard work paid off and that they can take some pressure off of their family and their financial needs. And those videos are amazing. And he seems like the guy that can make that happen and grind it. So excited for the Carrier brothers to be headed to Dinkytown as well. But let's talk about this class because there seems to be some skepticism. There seems to be some hatred, some trolling, and we're going to talk about that next. But first, we need to talk about BetOnline because BetOnline is where you need to go when it comes to all of your sports wagering information. BetOnline has all the latest trends and actions. And I told you here on the show, folks, the second that the Celtics went up 2-1 in the NBA Finals, I told you, hey, you know what? The Warriors, as much as it pained me being a Celtics fan, you see it in the background, as much as it pained me, the Warriors they lost their favors in the betting numbers. They lost I am slipping on the words right now, but essentially the numbers skewed to the Celtics and the Warriors had the underdogs numbers. That was the time. I told you I didn't want to pick them because, of course, I was rooting for the Celtics. But I told you at that point in time, if you think the Warriors are taking this home, now is the time to jump in on it. And if you did that, you benefited. You got some extra cash on hand. You got the dub. You got the finals. And it hurts my soul to say it. But it's not too late because the Stanley Cup is also going. You can check those numbers and get the latest wagering odds, trends in action, money line. You can find it all on the Stanley Cup at BetOnline. Right now, the Lightning are down. The Lightning are down. They were trying to go 3-time back-to-back-to-back for Stanley Cups. So if you believe they're actually a team that's going to make it happen, they were down early against the Rangers, came back and spanked them. So if you're still like, man, the Lightning are taking this, now's your time. The odds have shifted. So be sure to find all the latest odds over at BetOnline. It comes to the NBA draft, which is coming up. Odds will be over there. When it comes to the finals, playoffs, and much, much more. The NFL, we've got college futures, the Heisman odds. They're all over there on BetOnline. So head over there today. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, folks. So we're through another week. And we are still nationally ranked as the 12th best recruiting in the nation. We're ranked 12th in the nation in recruiting overall as the Minnesota Gophers, fourth in the Big Ten right now, fourth in the Big Ten. So yes, we can temper our expectations. It's super early, but before we get to all that, you can still be excited. Now, I've already said, like, you don't need to go hoot and holler about it and brag about it, but you can be excited, folks. You can have pride and have excitement and don't let other people completely shut that down. I've seen people out there, fans from other schools, or even Minnesotans, even Minnesota fans that are out here self-deprecating. First of all, pick yourself up because I know Minnesota sports are tough. The Wolves got smacked out of the first round. The Twins always lose in the first round. The Vikings can't seem to find a way to get to the Super Bowl. I get it, folks. I get it. But the Gophers football team is 3-0 in bowl games lately. We're seeing constant progress. And so the fact that we are in the top 12 in recruiting this early, yes, it's not anything that means that we're going to finish there, but you can take pride in it and be excited. There's people who are saying, who cares? We won't finish in the top 25. And that could be very true. You could be right. You could be absolutely right. We don't finish in the top 25. but we should still get excited and take pride in the progress in what we're seeing over PJ Fleck's time here with the Gophers, because we haven't been in this position before. We haven't been in this position even this early. We haven't been in this position before where our class is this high. And that's why people are making a big deal. That is why people are writing about it. That's why people are tweeting about it, because we haven't been this high before. Yes, we might not finish there, but we're here now. So you can take some pride in it, because that means we are progressing. We are doing better in recruiting than we have in the previous years at this point in time, which means that our recruiting is getting better over the years. So to see that now, even if we finish at 30, we saw the progress. We got to a top 12 in the early stages of official visits, and then we finished 30. Sure, that means we're making progress. Hopefully, we continue to see that progress, because as they put it on the field and they compete and they succeed and they go out there and win that Big Ten West championship this year, then hopefully when we're seeing that early progress in June, like we're seeing now, it's more of those decorated 4-stars that people are so concerned about having. More of the, maybe a 5-star comes this way because you're so concerned. But the thing is that we're building it up and we're seeing the progress. It's not always staying steady. We get 5 guys in June, 5 guys in July, rounded out at the end, finish 35th, finish 40th. No, we're seeing progress along the way, and that's what you should take pride in. That's what you should be excited about. So be happy. Now, don't go. We're not Ohio State right now. We're not Bama. We're not, Notre Dame. Notre Dame is the number 1 class right now, but Notre Dame has consistently been getting that talent. But we're showing progress. So be excited. Don't be braggadocious. Don't be hooting and hollering, what all that, but you can have some excitement. Now, overall, looking at this class right now, our average ranking per commit is the highest it's been in PJ's time, except for 1 year. And that was the class of 2021, where we had 4 4-star commits. Now, there's still time for it to be that high. Say we get Jackson Howard, say we get Marjavius Moss. There's opportunities for us to still reach the highest ranked class per recruit and overall in PJ Fleck's time here. But right now, it's currently the 2nd highest average ranked recruit in any of the classes that PJ Fleck has had here. So again, you're seeing the progress. You're seeing more highly touted ranked recruits committing, which is great. You love to see it. Now, that shows that things are trending in the right direction for recruiting. So the next step for us is coming out. It's winning the Big Ten West. It's beating Wisconsin again. It's beating Iowa. It's competing for a Big Ten championship. If we get out here and we win the Big Ten West, we show more balance in the passing attack with Kirk Soraka back in town, and you also continue to run the mess out of the ball and see that running production, and our defense stays one of the top ranked defenses in the country like they were last year. If we keep showing that progress, we could keep putting that on the field. And now we had a 9-4 season last year, should have been 11-2, and we had an 11-2 season in 2019. I'm not getting into the COVID year because it was COVID year, and everyone has a pass on the COVID year. Everyone. I don't care. You could have been Middle Tennessee. You could have been a D3 school. You get a pass on the COVID year. 2019, 11-2, 2021, 9-4, should have been 11-2, shouldn't have lost Bowling Green in Illinois, but we did. So 9-4. Again, successful seasons. Come out here and we put up a 10-win, 11-win season, win the Big Ten West, go to the Big Ten championship. More recruits will come. They're going to come with the success. They're going to come with the progress we're making. And that's why we're going to need a bigger boat. And that leads us to the prospects to still be on the watch for, which we're going to talk about coming up next. All right, folks. So thank you so much for making Locked On Golden Gophers your first listen, especially when it comes to the Golden Gophers and sports. I know we've been talking a lot of football, but that is because football is one of the next major sports coming up, and the offseason is heavy with the recruiting process going on. We'll get into basketball in the either later this week or early next week, with the official training camps starting for both the men's and women's programs. I'm excited for both of those squads, but thank you for making this your first stop for Gopher Sports. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, drop any comments on what you're feeling, on what you're thinking, on what you want to hear about in the comments below, and be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts at Locked On Golden Gophers. All right, so let's talk about the prospects that we can still be keeping an eye on with this 2023 class, and hopefully we'll raise that recruiting ranking even more or keep us up towards the top of the pack as other teams start to fill in. So the first guy I want to bring up is Marjavius Moss. He's a 4-star cornerback. It's between us and Baylor, it seems. He's taking his official visit to Baylor this upcoming weekend, June 24th. So we'll hopefully know more on that soon, but he also did recently earn a scholarship from Oklahoma State, so we'll see how that impacts his decision-making. But he stated we're number one on his list after he finished our official visit. He loved the family feel. He loved how he felt walking away from that visit, so hopefully that stays prominent, that stays true, and it's enough that it'll ward off these other offers, because he is one of the prospects that I am most excited and want to commit, because I think he can make a huge impact. I think pairing him with Zaquan Bryan as DBs, and then you add Justin Wally in there, you add Miles Fleming in there, and it's just like our secondary could continue to be crazy. It could continue to be consistent, pop off. You got Beanie Bishop and Ryan Stapp there as well. I mean, our secondary could keep going bananas, and I'm all about it. So Marjavius Moss is a guy I am closely keeping an eye on. Now, another prospect is Phillip Daniels, 3-star offensive lineman. We are officially in his Final Four. He came up on that first official visit weekend, and his Final Four is us, Boston College, Pitt, and Purdue. So that's where we're at. Now, we have one of the best offensive line coaches in the nation. We've saw the production that they've put out there. We've saw Daniel Falele get drafted. We've seen Blaze Andrews make a roster or a camp invite. I believe he's a UDFA, so he's actually signed a deal with the Dolphins. We saw Schuster out there in San Francisco getting looks. So our offensive line, they're getting looks, they're seeing production, and this would be a great guy to add to that squad, as well as the recruits that we have committed right now on the offensive line. Guys, we could be building something real special with this O-line, the talent, the coach. I'm stoked. I'm stoked. You got Jerome Williams, you've got Reese Tripp, you've got Greg Johnson. And I mean, guys, it's gonna be nice. So get excited, get stoked, and hopefully Phillip Daniels will be on that same train and come over to the Gophers. Next prospect I want to talk about is Elenius Davis from Moorhead, Minnesota. He's a 3-star defensive lineman. He's got 3 official visits. He already took the one to Minnesota. Last weekend, he visited Iowa State, and then his final one will be in Washington this month. He built a quick but good relationship with Jackson Howard just prior to his official visit, as well as during his official visit. Seems like they were hanging out a ton. They've been chatting with each other on social media publicly and out there. So it's exciting to see that relationship building, and hopefully they both make the commit here to play with each other. That's the only school that the two have together that they have interest in on their final lists. So hopefully that relationship continues to grow and they both want to come this way. Now, he exited the official visit knowing everything he needed to know. He seemed to be happier exiting about the program than he was heading into it. So you love to see that. Again, a local Minnesota kid, and we're waiting to hear more on the official visit in Iowa State, but hopefully he's someone that can make that commitment and continue to build this class up more. Now, we talked about Jackson Howard, and that's the next commit we're going to talk about. He had OVs at Minnesota and Michigan. Both of those are complete. Next weekend, he'll be at LSU, and then he will be at Miami to finish it off. He has officially announced that his official announcing date, so many officialing, man. His official announcing date will be July 1st. Now, both Minnesota and Michigan seem to be considering him as an edge rather than a tight end. His position on recruiting sites is an athlete, but it seems like a lot of people are giving him looks at the edge position. I believe maybe Miami might be as well. Miami just pulled in a tight end from Indiana, who actually was initially from Minnesota before going to a prep school out there. But we'll see what happens with Jackson Howard. I am still hesitant on him actually picking us, but I am hopeful that he's made enough connections, enough bonds to want to stay home. So I'm more skeptical on that one, but I'm hopeful. Now, we've got two more people I want to bring up with prospects, and that's Cameron Fleming, a 3-star cornerback. He's between us, North Carolina, and Virginia Tech. Seems to have already taken official visits to all 3 schools. So maybe, just maybe, we'll possibly be hearing more sooner than later on where his next school will be, where his next home will be. Now, if you give me Marjavius Moss, Cameron Fleming, Zaquan Bryan, plus our DBs that we already have on this roster, look, it's going to be locked down, straight up. You hear about Revis Island, you hear about Jair Alexander or Jalen Ramsey putting people on an island. No, the Gophers DBs would be putting everybody on absolute lockdown. You could call it the Dinkytown Alcatraz for all I care, but we would be locking it up. So I really hope it works out. I hope those guys all make the commitment and we have an absolutely nutty defense. But the last prospect I want to talk about is Ashley Williams, 3-star edge. He's got 2 official visits, one with us that he took, and then one at Nebraska. And he's made both those official visits. And now it seems he's taking an unofficial visit to Texas, which is kind of weird since he doesn't have an offer from there. But you know what? I've seen this before in my recruiting stint when I worked in college football, and there's always the kids that are seemingly waiting for a bigger fish. They have options, they have relationships they've built and coaches that have put their all into wanting them to be a part of that program, but they're always looking for the bigger thing. They think that they're better than that. And I'm not saying that this kid for sure has that, but it does have the vibes of it that he is waiting for a bigger offer when he's taking an unofficial to Texas who hasn't offered him, when he says he's not going to be announcing a decision till probably the midway through his senior year. It's just like those flash warning signs to me from my time helping out in recruiting. And I've seen that firsthand. So I would not be surprised if the Gophers aren't heavily in consideration for him, but more seen as a worst case between them and Nebraska. That's what the vibes I'm getting from seeing what's been put out there, what's being looked at. So I'm not super promising on that prospect coming this way with Ashley Williams. But eventually programs will get to the spot where they're like, hey, it's time to poop or get off the pot. I know that other people use different language there, but you get what I'm saying. You get where I'm going. So we'll see if we get to that point, but that's the guys that are all kind of prospects in high consideration that have taken visits, that have narrowed their lists down, and that the Gophers are still in contention. And that's going to do it for us here on Locked On Golden Gophers. Tomorrow, we are going to be taking a look at the recruiting pipelines established by PJ Fleck thus far. Which states have we gotten the most commits in? Have we seen the most success in? And of those states, where are we finding the most top-end contributors? Is that just happenstance? Or is that where we're getting our best talent and crop from? We'll take a look at it tomorrow, and that will be a fun one. So be sure not to miss it. Subscribe on YouTube, follow wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a 5-star review. This is Kane Rob. Peace out. I'll see you tomorrow.